And we're off and running. So good evening, everyone. As Dr. Irwin said, some really great energy to get us kicked off tonight. It's not always like this. So that says a lot about Deatrea and Emely and the connections that they've both made over the years. So thanks for joining us. My name's John Bartlow. I have the pleasure of serving as the Director of Alumni and Constituent Relations at Pittsburg State University, and excited to see some familiar faces tonight, as well as some new faces that I haven't had a chance to meet. So we appreciate you taking a little bit of time out of your evening. Obviously, we would much rather be with you in person, but in many of your cases, especially those of you who are overseas, that would not be a possibility if it wasn't for technology. So, you know, this is one of the silver linings of what's been going on with the virus, is that we are doing these virtual gatherings, and it's really allowing us to connect with people that we haven't connected with before, or that we don't often get to connect with. So we greatly appreciate that. I'm excited to have Deatrea and Emely with us this evening. You know, if you hadn't already seen the press release, Deatrea was promoted to an assistant vice president very recently, assistant vice president for student life, senior diversity officer. Something that is incredibly important for our university, and it couldn't happen to a better person. And I'm very excited for Deatrea. Emely Flores Hendrick is holding down the fort there in Horace Mann in the Office of Student Diversity, and together they're a great team, and I know they have lots of wonderful students who work with them and help accomplish what they want to accomplish as well. So tonight is not about me. It's not even going to focus on alumni relations. I'll give you guys some tidbits when we're done. And of course, we're going to have some Pitt State stuff to give away. But tonight is to hear from Deatrea and Emely about what is going on in their world and their office, and the various endeavors that Pittsburg State University is working on. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our friend Deatrea Rose.
So good to see everyone. And I think I shouted everybody out, but Adrienne is my sorority sister, and she just got on. So I definitely have to shout her out. And she has been amazing and traveling all over the place. And we just want to give her due as well tonight. So hello, Adrienne. We want to welcome you and welcome everyone to our gathering tonight. And it is good, like John said, to see everyone's faces tonight. And I want this to be super interactive. I don't want to talk for the whole hour. Emely doesn't want to talk. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your questions, your concerns. We want to be able to listen and find out what can we do to continue to make Pittsburg State University a great place. We've got a couple of people on the call from our foundation office that are here, and they would love to hear from you. We know that part of being an alum is also our civic responsibility to give back to our campus and make it a better place. And so we want to make sure that we leave time for you all to talk to us and tell us what's on your mind. And a few of you did send in questions, and we're so grateful to receive those questions. And if you do have questions, make sure you pop those in the chat. John will be managing that, and he'll help Emely and I answer that. So a little bit to get started. Most of you know me, I'm Deatrea Rose. I've been at Pitt State for the last 10 years, working alongside with Emely Flores. Emely is actually, so for those of you who didn't know, when I took the job at Pittsburg State, Emely came with me as a student from Independence High School. I came from Independence Community College, and she was a high school senior, and I worked in a federal trio program called Upward Bound, and she was one of my students. And so I brought Emely with me to Pittsburg State. She worked in the Office of Student Diversity as a student worker. And then from there, upon graduating, a week later, she accepted a job as an admission counselor right across the hall from me. And she worked in admissions for about 2 years, I think. At that time, I had Harold Wallace as my assistant director, who's also semi a Pitt State alum. He went to Pitt State, but his degree says WSU, but we won't hold that against him. But he came back and worked for me for a couple of years, and now he's on to bigger and better, and he's a director himself now in the Tennessee area. And so when Harold left, it was a great opportunity for Emely to make the transition across the hall as our assistant director, and her and I are just a dynamite team. We work very well together. I'm so proud of her because she's now pursuing her master's. She's halfway done. And so she's rocking it out, and she is just doing exactly what she's supposed to be doing. She's very charismatic. She loves working with the students, as do I. And so I feel very confident about my transition as assistant VP because I've left the program in very capable hands. She's very creative. She's got a lot of good ideals that she's bringing to the forefront. We are expanding our student groups. There are so many great things that are happening in the Office of Student Diversity, not just for our racial and ethnic students, but also for our LGBTQIA population, for our transgender students as well. We've got some big initiatives that we're going to be rolling out to campus in support of that population of students. And, you know, our job at this point really is to listen and to learn and find out, what do our students want? What do our faculty and staff want to make Pitt State a better place? So that's just a little bit of an opening. Emily, if you want to share anything, feel free to pop in and maybe talk a little bit about, we've got a big event coming up that we hope we'll be happy to share that Zoom link with you. But I'm going to let Emily, her and her team have put this event together, so I can't take any credit for it. But I think it's going to be outstanding and something that I think you all are going to want to tune in for.
Well, thank you, Deatrea. I feel like I don't have much to add to that, but like she said, I've known Deatrea for 10 years now, and so blessed to have had her as a mentor, a leader. I've referred to her as an angel on earth. Great conversations. My growth, a lot of it has to do with just thanks to her and the things that she's pushed me to do and nominated me for countless things as I was a student, and just saw something in me, spoke life into me. And now I am seeing that this is transitioning, and now I'm becoming a mentor to a lot of the students that are here with us. And that's been kind of fascinating to see a shift, and I'm now the one who gets to do this. So it's been wonderful to have Deatrea in my life and to continue being part of a team with her. Thank you, Deatrea. So a little bit about what we're doing here in the Office of Student Diversity. We house the OSD as a fam. We are comprised of multiple multicultural groups on campus, and one of those is Black Student Association. It's a very passionate, very active group on campus. They are ready to fulfill purpose, and so they are just anxious to have a conversation, an open dialogue where they face racial injustices and how the parallelisms across the history and what we can do moving forward. And this event is being held November 2nd, right before elections, and they're targeting, like, regardless of what happens afterward, no matter agreements or not agreeing on things, that we can just move forward and be part of the solution and not the problem. So that's what they're targeting mostly as students or great leaders. So really excited for them. Hispanics of Today just got done with Hispanic Heritage Month. We have Native American Student Association that just reactivated this past year, back in January, and they're fully engaged on campus as well. We just got done having a meeting. We're partnering with Students for Violence Prevention for different organizations, different programs and events. So really exciting things. They keep me busy for sure. This office never sees a moment I just literally had to wave somebody goodbye because I'm in a meeting with you guys. But this office is constantly filled with students who are trying to bring events, ideas, programs that we can bring to campus. And I'm the one who just pushes buttons and executes and makes it happen for them because they are just so passionate. And you guys will get to see this because I made a slideshow. So I will go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see this.
Yeah, and while Emily's sharing her screen, Emily is very humble and very modest. So the event that we're having coming up on November 2nd is called Story on Repeat. And basically what that story focuses on is the racial injustice that has taken place in the United States. We have went out and we have secured some pretty awesome panelists We have some professors a professor from Pittsburg State, I think, that's going to be on the panel. We've got two police officers. One is a detective, and one is I think he's a sergeant in the police department. Both of the officers are people of color. We thought that it was good to get people of color because there's kind of a movement right now that Black in Blue, and what is their perspective on racial injustice and what's going on in the world. We've got some students that are also going to be a part of the panel. And then we've got students that are going to moderate. So with the assistance of the city of Pittsburgh, we were able to get approval for 250 people, correct, Emily, to be in the Bicknell Center.
Yes.
And people who aren't able to be in person, we will share the Zoom link and you will be able to Zoom in and take part in that event. We know that this is something that a lot of people are talking about. A lot of people have questions. And so we think that this is going to be a really big event for our campus and for our students so that we can engage. Emily and her team have done a great job in making sure that we have people on both sides of the argument. So it's not a one-sided debate, if you will, but we really are pushing this as a time to be educated and to have a very thoughtful conversation about the issues surrounding all of us right now. So that event, again, is probably one of our big hallmark events where we did, go out and seek special permission to kind of have a nice crowd in the Bicknell, even though we're in the midst of COVID-19. We felt like it was imperative that the panelists at least be face-to-face, and if everyone's not able to attend in person, to definitely join us. And those of you like Dustin, who works for the school system, Mike Cook is at Fort Scott Community College, and he's chairing the diversity initiative for their campus. So if you want to invite people from your teams to be a part of that Zoom, we want you to be, to take part in that. And if you have questions that you want to send in ahead of time, we welcome that as well too, that we can share with the panelists. So that's a little bit about some of the happenings. And we did receive 3 questions, I think, and so I want to talk a little bit about those. One of the questions that we received was about the diversity in terms of enrollment at Pittsburg State University. I think Minna may have sent that one in, asking about what do our numbers look like. And so right now, what's interesting is, I'll say this, I serve with the other chief diversity officers from KBOR, so your KU, your K-State, Emporia, Fort Hays, even Washburn takes part in our meetings as well. So Pittsburg State right now, we're sitting at between 18 to 20% domestic minority students on campus. And when I say on campus, know that I mean on campus and virtually, okay? Because we are offering a percentage of our courses virtually this semester during COVID. But that 18 to 20% represents our Black students, African American, Latino, Asian American, Pacific Islander, Native American students. So those students are all put together to equal about 18 to 20% on our campus. The interesting thing is, sometimes when you go and visit like a Wichita State or a KU, it feels like there's so many more domestic minorities on campus. But honestly, we are all sitting about the same at about between that 18 to 20% on every campus. It's just sometimes those groups congregate together more than they may on other campuses, but our numbers are pretty much the same. I will tell you that with COVID, it has presented us with some challenges. As Emily said, students are popping in and out of the center, but definitely not at the rate that they were before COVID, because a number of our students are sheltering at home. They're doing online classes. They're on Fridays, the campus is virtually empty, to be honest with you. It's like a ghost town. Yeah. A lot of faculty aren't doing in-person classes on Friday. We're doing a program called High Flex, which I know a lot of campuses are doing, where students may come to the class once or twice a week, and then they fulfill the rest online. So those numbers don't feel as big right now, but those students are currently enrolled and are taking classes at Pittsburg State University. We're just not physically seeing them on campus, and they're not occupying our space as they had been, like when Daryl was here, or Dustin, and Minna, the students that frequent the OSD like every single day. Now we're maybe seeing those students maybe, and Adrian as well, every other day, or even once a week if there happen to pop on campus. So I wanted to address that we are working very hard to continue to create more momentum. We know that sorry if you guys can hear the train's coming by. We know that our Hispanic and Latino population is the fastest growing population in the United States. And myself and Scott Donaldson, who's our director of admissions, actually just met today. And we talked about where we need to concentrate our efforts in terms of continuing to recruit and retain a more diverse student population. We know that that's Northwest Arkansas. We know that that's the Wichita, Tulsa, Western Kansas area. And so I know that he's working with his team to make sure that we're hitting those pockets of people. And I know that he is currently drafting a plan to bring back a diversity recruiter, because we had that position once upon a time. That person left and took a job somewhere else. Then Emely kind of filled that spot for him, because Emely is bilingual. So we were able to use her in some of those areas. And now Emely's with me. And so because of the programming initiatives that she's doing, it's made it difficult for her to get back out in the field and recruit high school students, the high schools that are open and allowing people to come in. So there's a bit of restructuring that's going to happen, where we are going to bring back some of those admission counselors that we used to have. So I think that's a great thing for us as a university, that we are focused on recruiting and retaining our students of color, but also making sure that we are recruiting all different types of students. So not just, our racial and ethnic students, but there's also a big push now for our LGBTQIA population. Our autistic students are choosing Pittsburg State University now. And so we're making sure that we're doubling down on all of the different services and initiatives that we're providing for students who need a little bit of extra encouragement to get to graduation. So I wanted to make sure I answered that question for you.
Thank you for such an informative answer. That was really great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Coupled with Minna's question, I think I'm looking, because everybody's named Sandra. I think it was you who may have asked the question, and I don't want to get it wrong. You asked about publications, or you asked about disabilities?
So a few years ago, I had reached out to the president of PSU because I was getting my magazine on a regular basis and very seldom saw people of color in it. If I did, I only found them on the sports page, if I found anyone at all. And so someone's laughing. And that concerned me.
Yeah.
And that concerned me, with the history of Pittsburg State being the first of the public universities to open their doors to African-American students. I just was concerned that they had lost that focus and that drive. But I've seen improvement in that. So, so I told them that I said I was thinking about doing a scholarship, but if y'all don't have any students of color, let me give our money somewhere else. So I did see improvement. So I do give a scholarship now every year. But just wondering if there are things, sometimes when you're inside an organization, you have to be so politically correct that you can't fight. And so are there things that as alumni, we need to be pushing on, because we can fight battles and not lose a job that maybe you all can't fight? So that was my question.
That's awesome, Sandra. And I want to tell you something. We have hired an awesome, and I do mean an awesome marketing vice president. Her name is Abby Fern. Her name is Abigail, but we call her Abby on campus. And she is very forward thinking. She has encompassed a staff that understands the issues of not just diversity of color, but equity and inclusion as well. And the Pitt State Magazine, if you all didn't receive yours as alumni, definitely put your address in the chat so John can get that sent out to you, because it did just come out this last week. And I will tell you, as an alum myself, I was very impressed with the coverage of diversity, equity, and inclusion in that magazine. And so Abby has done a great job and has made a very concerted effort to make sure that everyone is included and that the university portrays that. And so, we have, Dustin's on here, who's an assistant principal. We had another African-American who is an elementary school teacher, and he's featured in the magazine this month, because, a lot of times we don't get men, particularly in the elementary school. And so he's featured in the magazine, and there's all types of different elements of diversity. You know, our veterans are considered diverse. You know, I think there was a service animal that may have been placed in there as well. So we've come a long way, Sandra, in what we have done. And I don't see any of them on the call today, but we've got a group in Kansas City called the KC Divas. And they are our ladies of, Trisha's on here, Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and they give a scholarship every year. And they were featured in the magazine for giving a very nice scholarship to a student of color who had an interest in a degree in education. And that young lady was very, very grateful for that opportunity. So I think the university knows that diversity, equity, inclusion is on a lot of people's mind, not just people of color. And I think that they are really answering the call. And I think Abby and her team have done a great job in addressing those issues. Now, remember, you guys are all alums. So if you're doing great things, you need to send those stories in so that they can be a part of that magazine. Anything that you're doing, any congratulations, like, you know, with Dustin being promoted to assistant principal. Dustin, you've got to toot your own horn and send those kind of things in. Because we want to hear about that, because students look at that magazine and they say, if he can do it, maybe one day I can too. And so we want you all to understand that you have the opportunity to send in your stories of great things that you're doing in your communities as well. So make sure you take that opportunity. I think those were all the questions, but I'm looking to see if there are any others in the chat. I see that Melissa Grissom has joined the call, and I will say this about Melissa. Congratulations, she's getting ready to have her first child. She's also married to an alum as well. But Melissa has been an asset to Pittsburg State University. She works for Enterprise, and she is awesome at making sure students who need internships or need opportunities right after graduation, she's always emailing me, calling me, saying, hey, we've got openings. Do you have students that might be interested in a career in Enterprise? And those connections are what help our students get a leg up when they graduate. And so we're grateful to have Melissa on the call, and we're grateful for all the work that she is doing to help our students get that first job right out of Pittsburg State University.
And she was a wonderful admission ambassador when I was over there as well. So,
and an OSD employee.
I could claim a teeny bit.
Yes, and she worked in the Office of Student Diversity.
Hi, everybody. Me and Will Grissom are here. Sorry, we don't have our video on. We just finished eating dinner, and our dog's going a little crazy right now. But we just wanted to pop in and say hello to everybody. I see, you know, a lot of students or alum that went to school with us. So it's awesome to see how engaged everybody is. So I'm glad to be here tonight. Sorry we missed part of the beginning.
That's all right.
Glad you're here, Melissa. I think
anybody else have any questions? Trisha or?
John, Deatrea, this is Steve Irwin again. I'll make just a couple of quick comments. Of course, we've been talking about Deatrea's promotion and the designation of the Senior Diversity Officer, and it's an exciting part of that for me as Vice President of Student Life is student diversity coming to our division. You know, many of you remember years ago when we were Student Affairs and before some reorganizations happened, student diversity was part of the division of Student Affairs, and so it's exciting to have them back and to be able to be a part of some of the initiatives. I think we're going to see a lot of new synergy and new collaborations or increased collaborations across student life on issues of diversity, and so I'm very excited. Some of you know, or many of you may not know, that Deatrea and I go way back. When I first got here 26 years ago, she was in residence life, university housing at the time as a resident assistant, and then eventually served in a couple of other capacities, including managing what was then East Campus Apartments, our married student housing at the time. And so it's been great to watch her grow over the years, go off and serve the community colleges in the region, and then come back to Pitt State. And so I couldn't be more excited to welcome Deatrea back to the division.
Thanks for sharing that, Steve. We appreciate that insight, and thank you for being on the call as well. You know, Deatrea and Emely, this is going to put you on the spot a little bit, but I think it gives you an opportunity to shine and talk about things. You know, it's hard to believe, Deatrea, you said you've been here for 10 years, and I remember when you came. Could you talk a little bit about some of the things that you're really proud of that you have been able to accomplish over the last 10 years? Because, you know, some of the folks on this call have been gone for a while, and they're probably not aware of the strides that you've made and we've made as a university.
Well, you know what, as I look at the Zoom call, I can say that I'm proud of every single student that's on here, because you are our legacy. You are the reason that we get up in the morning and do this. You know, my mom said, when you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And when I look at the students that are on this call, Adrian, Daryl, you know, I mean, Dustin, I was always very fond of Dustin. He didn't come and work for me, but he went and worked for teaching and leadership as a GA, but I don't hold that against him. But Minna, who worked in our office, Melissa, I'm just so proud. Cortland, my own daughter, who's on this call, worked in the Office of Admissions while she was at Pittsburg State. I think that when you talk about what I'm proud of all of these students, because they did it. When the odds were stacked against them, when people told them that they couldn't, when they struggled to come up with enough money just to eat or just to make it through another semester, they found a way and they did it. And people like Sandra and Trisha, who are already giving money back to the university, it's because of you that these students are here and are able to be on this call tonight. So I think our greatest accomplishment is what we're doing as a university to make sure, yes, we can recruit 100 kids to come to Pitt State, John, philosophically, but if we can't retain them and watch them walk across that stage, then the work that we do is for naught. And so we know that a lot of our students incur astronomical debt to be able to be in college. And so seeing these students that have achieved and done great things. I mean, Minna came here as an international student, you all, from Ethiopia. And if you don't know very much about international students, you know that they have to have a certain amount of wealth to even cross the waters to get here. There's no financial aid for our international students. So her parents saw that in her. And not only was Minna, but her sister is also a Pitt State grad. So her parents were very fortunate to be able to send 2 daughters to the US to be educated. Minna left here and then went to Wisconsin, worked really hard and got her master's degree. And now she's gonna be doing great things. She's went back to her home country and she's gonna do great things. And so those are the things that we're proud of, John, is our office, we don't stand alone. We can't do this alone. Emely can tell you that. The collaboration between student success, people like Heather Eckstein and Ashley Waddell, who invest so much in our students, making sure that they have access to tutoring, they have access to academic success workshops. We can't do this job by ourselves. People like Eva Sager in programming, Mary Mercer, that make sure that our students, you know, now we have Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated back. We couldn't have did that without the help of even Dr. Steve Irwin, whose office helped fund that to get that program up and off the ground. So the Office of Student Diversity and what we're trying to do, we can't operate in a silo. And I think that's one thing we taught our students, is that we love that you come to this office, but the most important thing for you to do is go out and get integrated into what else is happening on campus. Melissa was a student ambassador. Cortland was a student ambassador. I think Minna was even a student ambassador. Most of them were in Crimson Club, which is the highest honor at Pittsburg State, to be an ambassador for the president's office. So we told them that you're going to live in a world when you leave Pittsburg State that has every race, every ethnicity, every walk of life. And if we can't teach you how to work with people who don't look like you, we've done a disservice to you. And so I think when we talk about what are we proud of, what are we excited, what strides have we made, it's in making sure that our students leave our institution as whole human beings. They're able to walk in any room. Adrian's done great things. She can navigate any room. She can hold a conversation with anyone. She can walk the walk and talk the talk. And she learned that because she was able to engage with people who didn't look like her. And she was able to navigate those spaces that we traditionally aren't able to navigate. And so when I think about the last 10 years at Pitt State, I think about we have empowered students to be great. Our job is to build students up and never to tear them down, to show them that there's a better way. You can make it. You have an opportunity for greatness. And we want to see you be great. We want to see what you're doing. And if you look at this, the students that are on this call, all of them are doing great things, aspiring to do great things. And I don't think this is the last that we've heard from any of them, John.
Outstanding. Well, that's great. I appreciate you talking more about that, Deatrea. Are there any other questions out there? I haven't gotten any more on the group chat, but we've got a great opportunity here to find out a little bit more about what's going on from someone who's been in the thick of all of this for 10 years. And then someone like Emely who's seen it, but well, Deatrea, you saw it from a student side as well, but Emely's seen it from a student side more recently. But
Yes.
oh, let's see. Okay, here's a question. The question is, how many men of color do we have working here now? And I'm assuming he means at the university.
At the university, Corey, you're asking how many men of color. So we have an associate vice president. Of course, you know, traditionally on every college and university that a lot of our men of color are going to be housed in our athletic department. And that's no exception at Pittsburg State University. We have a number of men of color who are our football coaches, our men and women's basketball coaches are also men of color as well. We have a chemistry professor who is a person of color. And I feel like we have, I'm trying to think off the top of my head because you threw me for a loop. Corey always asks those hard questions. But I feel like there are a few more men of color as well that are on our campus that are in the classroom. So in fact, I take it back. We have 2 chemistry professors of color and a physics professor as well. So yes, we do. We have a few. And what I would say to that, Corey, is again, when you look at the 18 to 20% domestic minority, and you think about where Pittsburg State University sits in Southeast Kansas, and you compare our numbers to like a KU or a K-State or a Wichita State, it seems like we don't have very many people of color, but our numbers pretty much mirror each other in terms of percentages.
And I don't know if maybe it's because I'm more involved in things than I was 10 years ago, but I truly feel like I have seen change in that over the last 10 or 15 years. I don't know if you feel that way, Deatrea. I know that it is something that the university pays close attention to, and you know, it's important. It's important to us. We realize that a huge part of the college experience is to ensure that we are all exposed to individuals from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, people who grew up in different places, and it just makes for a richer and a better college experience. And I think that's at the forefront of people's minds here at the university. One question that was asked was, what can we do? And this is from someone who lives here in Pittsburgh, in the Pittsburgh community. What can we do as community members to support the efforts that you, Deatrea, and Emely are striving for, and the university is striving for?
You know what's interesting? Hey, Corey, mute your mic. There you go. Thanks. I think that one, and you know, I was just asked this question a few weeks ago. I had lunch with a community member who talked to me about that. And I think the biggest thing is to be able to listen, to be able to have open, honest conversations. And a lot of times when we have a conversation with someone, we're not really listening to them because we're already forming what we want to say back. And so we're not listening. And so having that open dialogue and hearing what people are saying, listening to their experiences, because the experiences that I have, John, are not going to be the same experiences you have. You know, I've told the story before, and I think it's appropriate, I can say it now, that I experienced a microaggression one time in a local business in Pittsburgh using my university P card, where I was there buying supplies for the Office of Student Diversity. And I'm pretty good with numbers. And so I rattled off our tax exempt number. And the lady didn't want to accept that I worked at Pittsburg State. I was wearing a polo that said Pittsburg State. I had my P card. She didn't even want to take my P card is my credit card for Pittsburg State, you all. She didn't even want to take my card without me brandishing an ID. Never have I ever been asked to show my driver's license when purchasing items for the university. And I became very angry, I will say that. And I, in front of everyone else that was in line, said, "Are you racially profiling me right now?" I said it just like that. And I startled her. I said, "Are you kidding me? Do you think I'm coming in this store to buy napkins and cups for myself?" And then I left. I left all the stuff on the conveyor belt. And for a long time, I didn't go back. And I posted that story on Facebook, on my personal Facebook. And the manager of the store reached out to me and gave me an apology. And I said, "I don't want an apology from you because you didn't do it. You know me, you know who I am, but it doesn't matter whether they know me or not. If I'm presenting the information, then it shouldn't have been an issue." And so what I say that is, as a community member, you should be able to, and here's the thing, people will say, "Well, they didn't know you worked at Pitt State." But, you know, in conversation with people like John Bartlow or Emily, "Hey, John, when you use your P card, do they ask for your ID?" John would tell me, "No, never." So why do they need to see my ID? So when we have those conversations with people in our community, it needs to be a conversation of treat people the way you want to be treated. If you don't put that stipulation on someone else, then don't put it on a person of color or someone in our transgender population or LGBTQIA population. Don't put that stipulation on them. So I think what the community could do is really listen and really understand about the disparities that take place in our communities, in our homes. I mean, we're facing COVID-19. I don't have to tell you about the numbers and the disparity amongst people of color, people who are at risk that are contracting COVID at record numbers over our people that are Caucasian. And so being able to listen and not assume is a great way to begin the conversation and to begin the work. Another thing I think community members can do is give our students a chance when they come out into the community and they're looking for jobs. Right before I got on this call, I was in another meeting with the diversity folks from Kansas State University. They had a speaker who came in who works at a bread company. And he talked about how he brings the young men in and he talks to them about, you know, you can't wear baggy clothes here. You can't have your shirt hanging out because you're working in a factory with a conveyor belt and your shirt could get caught in it and it'll suck you up, you know? And he said, but having that conversation and engaging those young people and giving them an opportunity for those internships and some of those summer employment opportunities that exist within the city of Pittsburgh would be a great way to open that door and open that communication. And I'm not saying that that's not happening, John, because we've got some places in Pittsburgh that are doing great work in equity and that are bringing in a number of our students.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. This next question can kind of lead into what you just finished, Deatrea. It is, how is Office of Student Diversity working with the city of Pittsburgh when it comes to advocating for the Black Lives Matter movement?
Okay. So, you know, you all know that this summer we had a march here in Pittsburgh centered around the Black Lives Matter movement. And one thing I want to say is this, John. Black Lives Matter is not a political issue. it's a human rights issue. And I think that when the community of Pittsburgh understands that, then I think that they will be in a place of more empathy for our people, our students of color and our people of color, our Black and brown communities. And so how they, again, I think it goes back to listening and understanding that when Dustin gets pulled over by the police, his experience is not going to be the same as yours, John. You might get a warning, but Dustin's going to get a ticket. Okay. You get to go home to your wife, John, but Dustin's wife is praying that he makes it home. So a quick trip to the store for a person of color is not the same quick trip to the store for a non-person of color. And I think if you understand it, that's a human rights issue. It doesn't have anything to do with our political stance, Democrat, Republican, anything like that. It's a matter of, is your life more important than Mike Cook's life, than Daryl Chisholm's life? No, no. And we can do the argument that, well, if Dustin complies, he'll make it home, but that's not always true. That's not always true. And Corey Taylor's on the call, and he just posted a video of a Caucasian man who was running from the police, and the police ran after him, and the guy had a knife, brandished a knife, and the officer, who was also Caucasian, began to try and apprehend him, and the guy stabbed the officer. That guy is alive today and standing trial for that criminal assault. And I stand here to say that if it was a person of color, they would not have been given the multiple chances to put that knife down. They would have been shot. And I speak from a place of experiencing and seeing that over and over and over again. And we have to look no further than George Floyd. And I think that's what set this whole thing off nationwide, is because no matter what color you are, Black, brown, white, whatever, as human beings, seeing a man on the ground and another man put his foot on that man's neck and kill him in front of all of us is the reason that Black Lives Matter has been brought back around to the forefront. And so my stance to the community is, let's not bring politics in this. Let's talk about, you're a father, you're a mother. How would you feel if your child didn't make it home tonight? And I think that changes the entire conversation.
Yes. You know, it was actually a community member that started the Facebook event, and it was that person who reached out to us, reached out to our president of Black Student Association, and he got to speak there. Deatrea got to speak there, and then incorporated into that was the police department of Pittsburgh, and they were willing to provide security for us, and they were able to kind of come up with barriers for the streets so that we could have our march peacefully. And so they provided that. And we're so grateful that they have 2 officers, a detective and an officer that will be part of Story on Repeat. So it just goes further into a little bit about the relationship that we're trying to form there with the city of Pittsburgh and with the police department as well, that we have an alliance here.
Excellent. Thanks, Deatrea and Emily. Just a couple more questions, and then we'll probably need to wrap it up so we can stay on schedule here. But one of the questions is going back to talking about faculty and staff on campus. And it says, do we have some type of social justice organization going on within the faculty and staff? I don't know if that's something you could speak to, Deatrea.
Well, Emily and I are both part of what we call the Michael Tilford multicultural group on campus. Michael Tilford was a mathematician from Wichita State University, And the premise behind the Michael Tilford Group is to provide education to our faculty and staff and also our students on issues around diversity and multicultural education within the classroom. And so we do have a group that meets every month. Emily could speak a little bit about the book club. We have a book club that is reading a book centered around diversity, equity, and inclusion right now. That the book club encompasses faculty, staff, and students. Last year we did a Ta-Nehisi Coates book, which was awesome. And then our students were able to go and see him in person. He was a speaker at Washburn University, so we were able to take students to meet and engage with him in person. Emily can talk a little bit about the book. I've kind of been removed from that part of it. I'm letting her kind of steer that group. But other things that we're doing are we do brown bag lunches that center around different topics like cultural communication. We're talking about, I can't think off the top of my head of some of the different topics, but how to engage in conversations around what's happening with the election. So there's a lot of different topics that happen within those brown bag lunches. And so there's a lot of opportunities for our faculty to engage. We also partner with the Center for Teaching and Learning on campus. And so we are getting in the rotation to provide different types of cultural sensitivity workshops to our faculty and staff. Those workshops happen on a monthly basis. So there are lots of opportunities for our faculty and staff to engage and talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion within their classroom and what that looks like and how to work with our student population that's coming in. So that work is definitely happening on our campus.
Great, great.
I just shared a link. So sorry, I just shared a link and it'll take you straight to the video that we put together for the discussion that was held amongst the students once they were wanting to reflect on the book that they read last year. And it was, again, Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. They got to meet the author and read the book, and they got to have a wonderful discussion. So I invite you all to watch that video.
Great.
Emily and Deatrea, is the book club something that alumni or friends of the university can get involved in virtually?
I wonder if alumni can. Right now, our efforts are centered around where people, they are enrolled in Canvas for this. So I wonder if alumni can enroll into this, because that's where we share our resources, information on how and when and where we're going to meet for the discussion. That's how you get access to the book. But I wonder if for next year, when we do our third year, if that's something, an initiative that we can strive for and maybe push it out, because we started with students this year. We've invited faculty and staff, and maybe next year will be alumni. We're just graduating on to next
Sure.
and bigger things for that. Yeah.
Well, and my wheels are turning as you're talking. We started an alumni book club in our office probably 6-7 months ago. And, I'm wondering, and we can talk about this, I wonder if there's something that we could all do together and we could put it out to any of our PSU alumni and friends who are interested. And it could maybe focus on the topic that we've been discussing this evening. So
That would be wonderful. Yeah, we
Great.
can discuss that later on.
Great. And, folks, a lot of the information that Deatrea and Emily have talked about tonight, certainly if there's anything that links and things like that they can share with me, we will send out a follow-up email to everyone who's on the call and even everyone who had signed up for the call who wasn't able to make it tonight. So you all can have access to some of these various things that we've talked about, not only from the Office of Student Diversity, but from our alumni office as well.
Anybody have
I love
any
the PowerPoint. I love the PowerPoint, Emily. It makes me miss Pitt more than I already do. Don't tell anyone at Fort Hayes I said that, but yeah, but it was beautiful.
You were in all those pictures, Cortland.
I know. I was like, I think she's doing this on purpose.
Well, I went based off of chronological order, and you were part of that huge photo shoot that happened at the very beginning of the school year. So
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Cortland's my daughter, and she graduated and had a great opportunity right after graduation. Fort Hays State snatched her up as an admission counselor. So she lives in what we call Hayes America. She's way out there, and And it was right before Melissa had a hiring freeze at Enterprise, or she'd be working for Melissa in Wichita, hopefully. But that's the great connection of Pittsburg State, is that if students are looking for a job, we've got lots of people we can call and say, hey, what are you doing? What kind of openings? We tried to snag Daryl Chisholm to come back to Pittsburg State, but he turned us down. So, but that's okay, because he's doing great things in Kansas City. So we're really proud of him and what he's doing there. And we need greatness in Kansas City too. And we need him to spread the word to students to come to Pittsburg State. So we're really proud of those efforts and what everyone is doing too. So if we can help in any way, like I said, Becky's on the call, and Kathleen Flannery, they're in our foundation office. If you have ideals for ways that we can reach some of our students of color who are alum, and want to reconnect them back to the university. I know a couple years ago, we did the, everybody came back for homecoming, and that was a great, was that 2 years ago, Adrienne? I feel like it was that 2 years ago? Everybody came back?
Homecoming seems like a lifetime ago, doesn't it?
I think it was a year ago.
Are you talking about when I hosted 60-some people?
Yes.
That was last
It was
year.
a year ago, last year.
And
Oh my God, it seems like forever.
Yeah, my last time before I moved to Ethiopia. It was great. Great pit stop, literally.
Hopefully after COVID, we can do something like that again.
Yeah. You're all welcome to come visit Ethiopia. You've got a fellow gorilla that will host you guys. So
I need to come see you, Minna. I want to hold you to that.
Definitely. Definitely.
Just so you know, she lives in a mansion. She can put us all up.
Let's plan a recruitment and alumni trip.
Right? Let's do it.
Well, Deatrea and Emely, thank you for your time tonight. Sincerely, we're so lucky to have both of you on our campus, and it's even more special because you're both gorillas and you understand the culture of this university, and you're both bringing so much to the table. So thank you for being with us tonight. Thanks for your time. And to kind of reiterate what Deatrea had said, not only is she incredibly appreciative and proud of you all, but I'm incredibly appreciative of your time and of being here this evening. I often joke, but I'm really not joking, and say I've got the best job on campus because I get to meet with our amazing alumni throughout the country and throughout the world. And this institution couldn't be the special place it is if it wasn't for our alumni. And whether you are out there donating money, as some of you mentioned tonight, to help students in need, that is so critical these days, even more so than it was 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. Or whether you're telling your child or your niece or nephew or grandchild about the good experiences that you had at Pitt State, and maybe connecting them with our admission office here at Pittsburg State. All those things matter. It makes a great deal of difference to us here at the university. Dr. Scott, our president, often says we are all recruiters. He says that to those of us who are faculty. And then I like to in turn say that to our alumni. I worked in the admission office for about 8 years. And so our alumni promoting the experiences they had here, that makes a big difference. So I'd like for you to think of me as a conduit, as a resource. Anything that you need, even if it's not directly related to alumni relations, please feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to connect you to the right people if I can't answer your question. But I just want to say how much I appreciate your time and being on the call, and appreciate you staying connected to the university. And if there's anything my office can do to help enhance that connection or make it easier, if you have feedback to give us, we want to hear it. We definitely want to hear it. And that helps us grow, and it helps us be a better institution. So thank you.
I just want to say, sorry.
Yeah, no.
I just want to give a shout out to alumni relations. I know you recently posted a little post about, even though we can't see you in person, we get to virtually be together. And being out so far away from the States and being able to be part of something like this, and you guys organizing this, is really an amazing opportunity to connect with so many people that have gone through the jungle, So thank you so much. And, keep up the the Instagram posts, the Facebook posts. I love it. It just makes me feel like I'm still connected to Pitt. So thank you for that. And OSD as well. Thank you for keeping in touch.
Absolutely. We appreciate hearing that. And, you know, it's obviously harder for us to stay connected to our international alumni, but that is something that's very important to us. That's actually what my dissertation was on for my PhD. And so, you know, that is one of the silver linings of COVID. As terrible as it has been, it has forced us to do some different sorts of things. And one of those, obviously, are these virtual guerrilla gatherings. And I know that there are many, many people on this call tonight that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to connect with. And so, you know, even when things go back to being a little bit more normal, when we're having dinners with people and traveling more, this is something that we want to continue to do, because there's so many other alumni out there throughout the world that we're not able to see with a chicken dinner in Kansas City or something like that. So thank you. Hey, would anybody like to win some Pitt State stuff? We're not in person, but you know what? We'll put it in the mail. We'll put it in the mail. All right? So I drew some names.
Hey, John, this is Becky real quick. I wanted to say hi to all my former advancement ambassadors.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. I'm at home. I didn't want my cat to get up on my laptop, and I wanted to give Deatrea and Emely their time. But thank you guys for being on the call, and I miss you all, and it's so great to see you. And as Deatrea mentioned, anyone interested in supporting the cause or to talk more about scholarships or any way that we can help in listening and learning, I'm available as well. So I just wanted to put that out there and then give you guys the time. Okay.
Absolutely. Thanks, Becky.
And I'll say this, John, real quick.
Yeah.
Piggybacking on Becky and Kathleen's on here too. One thing that I learned, my husband and I both contribute to PSU as alum. Our daughter was fortunate enough when she came to receive the PSU License Plate Legacy Scholarship. And we didn't donate just because our kids were coming. We donated because we believe in Pittsburg State University. And one thing that I've learned through working with Kathleen is, you all, I know that a lot of you are just starting your careers, but understand this, even if you can only give $20, it helps. You don't, a lot of times we feel like when we give, it's got to be like 1,000 or 10,000 or some big astronomical number. But really, I learned from Kathleen just within the last week or so that it's the small gifts that really add up and help our students. And so, you know, if that's something that, you know, now that we're all together, the OSD, and we want to create our own little scholarship out there, I know that Becky and Kathleen would work with us to do that. Just something for you to think about. We didn't get on this call to ask you for money, but I just wanted to throw that out to you, that I really believe that in planting a seed for the next generation and hoping that they will be able to benefit the same way we've benefited from being at Pittsburg State. So just keep it in mind. If you're thinking to yourself, man, I don't make a lot of money right now, but even something small, little becomes much if we all put it together. So keep that in mind as you continue your careers, and remember Pittsburg State, because you know, a lot of us got our start here, and great things continue to happen for us. So I just want to throw that plug in for Becky and Kathleen.
Absolutely. And Deatrea, you mentioned $20. I mean, you know, if it's $30 or $35, that's going to get you a Pitt State license plate if you live in the right state. And so, you know, many of our legacy students get that scholarship, and you know, a few $100s a semester makes a big difference. And so, you know, I know we've got the Taylors on the call tonight from Oklahoma. We've got a license plate in Oklahoma now. It just passed. And so Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, you know, that's a great way to help support scholarships, but it's some great public relations for our alma mater too. So
don't worry, I get a lot of flack for my Pittsburg State tag on the back of my car. Trust me.
We appreciate you, Cortland. If you need some more Pitt State bling for your car, you just let me know and I'm going to send it out. We'll be really obnoxious out there in Fort Hays. All right, so let me give some stuff away, and then I'm going to jot down who won it, and then we will get it in the mail to you. So first off is a Once a Gorilla, Always a Gorilla t-shirt, and that is going to Daryl Chisholm. So Daryl, Be expecting that in the mail.
Thank you.
Daryl, I've got to say this. I had an immediate bond with Daryl when we met because Daryl is a Raytown Blue Jay, just like me. And he was in my freshman experience class. And so, Daryl, it's great to see you. And it's been good to see you grow over the years. And thanks for meeting up with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And just so you know, Daryl, somebody over here mentioned on the group on the chat that you'd be a great diversity recruiter for us.
I appreciate it.
I would say I concur. I'm in one accord with that.
Hey, I already tried to hire him years ago. He turned me down.
Maybe we just need to try again.
Yeah.
Begging does the do.
All right. So, Corey Taylor, are you guys still on the call?
I think they got off, but
all right. They are, Deatrea?
They got off, but yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll still give them something anyway. You can tell them they missed out, but we've got some Pitt State coasters that we're going to send out to them. And then we've got, hey, Cortland, do you have one of these?
I don't have one of those.
Oh, you do now. You do now.
Awesome.
We'll get that in the mail to you. Get you some more Pitt State stuff on your vehicle there. Mena, we drew for a mug for you, so I'm gonna have to see how about international mailing. So I know that we tried to mail some things internationally recently, and I know there's sometimes they won't.
Yeah, it's a little hard. You can send it to my sister.
Okay, well we'll reach out. I don't know if you think we'll be able to send it overseas, or do you think it'll be a problem?
It might be a little difficult, but
Where's your sister now, Minna?
she's in Texas.
Texas, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, after I did the alumni takeover, you guys sent the little, you sent it to that address to my sisters. So,
Okay. We'll
by the
try.
way, woohoo!
Hey. Outstanding. Outstanding. Hey, is Dustin Wiley still on the call?
Yeah.
Yeah, there he is.
Dustin, how about a Pitt State Alumni and Constituent Relations bag here? We will get that in the mail to you, sir. And then last, but certainly not least, Sandra Carter. Sandra, are you still on the call? We've got
I am still here.
Hi, Sandra. We've got a Pitt State cooler cup for you that we can put in the mail if that's something you can use.
That's great. I'm a high school counselor, so I'll get to advertisement to my students.
Oh, great. We might have to send you some other goodies then for your desk as well.
That would be good.
Outstanding.
Where are you a counselor at?
I work in Washington, D.C., so it's
Oh,
going to be hard to get my
wow.
children to come to Kansas, but you never know.
Never know.
Yes.
And I lied. I said last but not least, but no. Bonnie Corsini, you're a winner of some sunglasses and a Pitt State koozie.
Yay!
All right.
Thank you.
I'll deliver it when I'm out for a jog tomorrow, okay?
Great.
Bonnie lives right down the street from me, so. Okay. Well, everybody, we will send an email, a follow-up email out tomorrow. Deatrea and Emely, if there are any links that you want me to include, anything that you talked about tonight that you want to share with the folks on the call, and also those who had shown interest but weren't able to sign up, please feel free to send that my way and we'll include that. But obviously, we've got lots and lots of different alumni programs that we feature here through our office, and everybody who is a graduate is automatically a member of the Alumni Association. So as I said, I didn't want to spend a lot of time tonight talking about those sorts of things, and I'll hold true to it, I won't. But we will send you some links to that information. So you know exactly what the services are that we offer. And once again, like I said, if you have any questions about anything, even if it isn't directly related to alumni relations, please don't hesitate to reach out. I will find the right person if I can't answer the question. Okay? All right. Well, everybody, have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Once again, thanks so much to Deatrea and Emely. Also, thank you to Kathleen and Becky for being on the call, for Dr. Irwin as well. We've got great support from our university administration. And it's a good place to work. So appreciate you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deatrea and Emely.
Thank you for staying up until 3:30 in the morning, Mena.
Oh my God, yes.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you all.
Thank you so
and
much.
it's
This was
3:30 in the
great.
morning. That is crazy. Oh.
Yes, it is.